Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we are taking a rather strange and rare Boeing 737 on a full flight tutorial today. For those who don't know, this is the Boeing NT-43A, otherwise known as the Rat 55. Now, this is a rather strange aircraft, okay? It was originally a trainer, but was retired around the year 2010, but then surfaced during the Artemis II launch. And as you can guess, the large radome on the nose is for scanning stealth, okay? So today we're going to learn how to fly this aircraft, and I've been looking at the old 1976 NT-43 manuals, and I've learned quite a few things actually that I want to share with you. So without further ado, let's get started. And yeah, this is the FlyJSim 737-200 in X-Plane 12, and we're going to learn how to use it, as well as the Universal FMC, which is, it's not that difficult actually, but you do need to understand a few things. Right, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my battery volts, like so. And battery on. There we go. And I'm going to do my APU test. So the first thing I'm going to do is move it to the overheat section. Notice the engine 1 overheat, APU detection in op, and on the master caution, on the master recall 6-pack, we should also notice the overheat detection and the master caution light illuminates. Now we need to move it to the fire section. We should get the tone, oral tone, and the fire warning, master fire warning light should illuminate. And then while having that held, you push it, okay, to extinguish it. Okay, so let's get the APU online. So to do so, I'm just going to move the APU master to start, hold it there for a few seconds, and then let it spring back to the run section. An interesting thing about the APU is the APU start motor. This is something I recently learned from the manual. The APU start motor, it relies primarily on the battery. You cannot use the APU start. You cannot use external power to augment a weak battery, okay? You need to use, the battery has to have enough volts. So that's why we check the battery volts. You can't use external power to augment a weak battery. Okay, APU gen off bus light is on. Let's bring the APU gens on one at a time. Notice the amperage. And to preserve the life of the APU pump, it's recommended you turn on one of the AC boost pumps, okay? And as you know, the APU draws fuel from the left-hand side wing tank, so turn one of those on. Okay, let's get the position lights on. And yeah, let's proceed on with our flows. And also, let's get the Universal FMC booted up as well, because it does take a bit of time. So I'm going to turn it on. It's going to do a self-test, check the CPU and RAM and whatnot. And while it does that, let's carry on with the flows. So I'm going to do my overhead flows now. So I'm going to start from the top over here. And what I'm going to show you now is how you actually do it. We do it in a top-down fashion, but also what switches are we moving, what are we manipulating, and what indications are we looking for? What mode indication light should be on at this stage, and which light should be extinguished. Okay, so coming up over here to the top, you can add in your trip and date to the CVR if you needed to. I'm going to give that a miss. I'm going to test the stall warning. Though on the real aircraft, the AC transfer bus has to be powered for at least 4 minutes. So let's do the stall warning. You're getting the stick shaker. The yoke should actually be shaking anyway. You can do the over speed warning. There's the clacker sound. Okay, passenger oxygen should be set to normal, and the passenger oxygen on light should be extinguished. We don't want to drop the masks, okay? Coming over here, the thrust reverser guard should be down and switches set to normal, and the isolation valve light should be off. If this valve light comes on, it means hydraulics is available to move the thrust reversers And if this comes on in flight, that is something to be worried about. Okay, leading edge devices. We'll just do a quick test of that. Coming over here to the flight control section, we're going to ensure that all 5 flight control switches are down and guarded. Alternate flaps are out. Standby hydraulic, low quantity and low pressure lights are out. The alternate flaps is guarded. The yaw damper, we're going to turn that on. And the yaw damper light should still be illuminated, because once we get hydraulics on board, let me just show you. There we go. The yaw damper light should go out. Also, the yaw damper light does trip off when power is interrupted for more than 2 seconds. Let's do a Mach trim test. The Mach trim fail light should illuminate, and on the real aircraft, it should move the elevator up by 3 degrees. Coming over here to the fuel section, the fuel valve close light should be illuminated dim, and the filter bypass, the valve open and the filter icing light should be out. We're just going to test the crossfeed valve in transit right now. This is DC powered, by the way. Fuel low pressure light should be on, except for the pump, which is turned on right now. Okay, coming over here, let's just test our transformer rectifier 3, which is our battery charger, and also just test the gauges in general. Right, let's get the galley power on. This takes the load from the left-hand side AC bus. Okay, coming down over here, the bus transfer should be in auto. Standby power should be in auto as well. And the standby power off light should be extinguished. Coming over here, the gen bus off lights for the engine generators should be on. And all this stuff for low pressure, overspeed for the APU should be extinguished. Right, coming over here, equipment cooling should be set to the normal position and the off light should be extinguished. Emergency lights, we're going to arm that now. No smoking, we'll put that on. Fasten seatbelt signs auto. Rain repellent and wipers should be off. Ignition also should be off for the time being. Let's do an overheat test for the window heats and turn all 4 window heats on. As a minimum, you should have them on at least 10 minutes before takeoff. Okay, that is as per the manual and applies for other aircraft as well, like the 707. Just going to test the probe heats real quick and return them off for now. With the APU running, I can bring the APU bleed on and we can do our wing anti-ice test. Engine anti-ice test, all the lights should be out. Right, let's do a quick hydraulic check. So I'm going to turn on the electric pumps first, ensure we got clearance on the ground. And yeah, we should notice the hydraulic pressure for the right hand side rising. And now I'm going to open the interconnect valve and watch the left hand side equalize as well. If you've noticed on the Boeing 737 NG series, they put an electric and hydraulic pump, an electric and engine driven pump for each system, okay? On the Classic, the left hand side is purely engine driven, the right hand side is purely electric, and probably that's why we have the ground interconnect valve. But for the purposes of the flight, the ground interconnect valve should be shut. Coming over here, all our doors are shut. If any door was open, you would see it, okay? So that's a good indication. CVR, we're just going to test that. Coming over here, the altitude, cabin rate of climb should be 0. Cabin altitude is showing 0, that's good. Okay, coming over here, temperatures and auto selection. We've got the dual bleed light on because both engine bleeds and APU bleeds are on. The ram air doors should indicate full open. Okay, I'm going to bring the Gasper fan on. And let's bring our packs on as well. I'm going to set the isolation valve to open to allow both sides to equalize, okay? Now, the isolation valve is something that initially tripped me up because it was not quite as similar as I expected it to be, okay? On aircraft like the DC-8, isolation means Auto means open on the ground and closed in flight. Now, on the 737 Classic, auto means usually closed, but if you were to turn a pack off, it understands that you're doing a crossblade start, and, you know, it opens. Okay, coming over here to the pressurization section, I'm just going to go to manual AC real quick and check the position, the full travel of the outflow valve. I'm going to set it to close. Manual AC is faster, by the way, than manual DC. And I'm going to set it back to auto and watch the outflow valve spring back to the open position. Right. And I'm going to do the check as well. Auto fail and standby should illuminate. That's a successful test. Flight altitude for the auto controller I'm going to set at 21,000 feet, our flight today. And the landing altitude is, we're going from Nellis Air Force Base to Edwards. So just going to check real quick on little nav map the landing elevation. Just give me a second. Elevation is 2,311 feet. The 2,300 and let's put 20 feet. Okay, setting up the standby controller for about 21,000 feet of altitude. I should be getting a cabin altitude of about 1,400. So let's set that up. And there we go. Cabin rate of climb is indexed and pressurization selection is set to ground. Right, so that is the overhead panel. It's been cleared. And yeah, there's nothing else I missed over there. So let's come over here to the glare shield. Let's just check the master recall 6-pack. Cancel the master caution. And yeah, let's set up the flight director. So I'm just going to set heading, select for now. And pitch command full clockwise. And yeah, let's move down to the instruments. Okay, so coming over here, instrument comparator should be out. I found that if you used different modes, say you used GPS for your left hand side, but at the same time you were on radio navigation for the right hand side, the instrument comparator would light up. Okay, so it basically tells you if there's any disagreement. Okay, I'm just going to check our mode enunciators. For the flight director autopilot, let's do our autopilot disengage test and MDA test, and similarly we can do our GPWS test as well. Okay, TCAS is in standby. Let's do a fuel quantity gauge test. All the gauges should roll back to 0. Like so. By the way, all the lights, by pressing them, you can test them, you know. Okay. Your damper test is something that requires hydraulics, so let's set our hydraulics on for the electric side, and now I can show you the deflection. And it actually deflects the rudder, by the way. Okay, just gonna set that off. And yeah, engine vibration test. Let's do the test for both the inlet and the turbine. Like so. And similarly, engine oil quantity test. Anti-skid, I'm just going to cut them out. Verify the in-op and latch them back in. Landing gear 3 green. Like so. And similarly, coming over here, the hydraulics. Hydraulic pressure should be above, sorry, hydraulic quantity should be above the RF value. System pressure, as you know, should be 0. And hydraulic B, low quantity light, should be out. Right, that is pretty much all the tests I'm going to do. So let us now program the FMC. Now this FMC is quite different. It's the Universal Navigation System. Quite a strange item, but they do sell it. You can actually check on the website. So the first thing you'll be greeted with when you boot it up is your present position. So I want you guys to verify that this is the present position. and then just click accept. Any messages would pop up over here and you can just view the messages and come back out. Now, let us determine our payload, okay? So you do need to do it through the normal configuration. Okay, they don't have a load at the moment. Right, so the total weight today is 46981. So let me just note that down. And I'm going to minus the fuel weight, 7817.2. Okay, to get our 0 fuel weight. So I'm just going to click done, resume flight. So now let's add in the 0 fuel weight, which is 391. Whoops, first you press it, you line select it, verify it in white, and then go 39163. Actually, you could round it up as well. So let's press enter and fuel on board 7817, 7817. Enter, and there we go, it's populated the rest. And then you get all these other next pages. The last page is quite cool. It tells you that your engines are not running. Okay, so let's go to the flight plan now. So I'm going to show you now how to enter in your routes as well as SIDS and stars if you had those. So let me just bring up my SimBrief flight plan. And yeah, so we're taking off from Nellis Air Force Base, runway 21 right. So I'm just going to line select it. Actually, no, I'm going to click menu, departure, and 21 right. So that's option number 4. You have to, it's kind of like, reminds me of my Nokia phone. So enter 21 right. If you wanted to add in a standard international departure, you can do so like that. I'm just going to go back to the flight plan. We're going directly to the LAS VOR. So just going to type it in. Although you can go to list as well, which has your list of VORs, and press option 4. So this is option 4. Enter, there we go, directly to the Las Vegas VOR and direct to Creso waypoint. So let me just type that in. CRESO. And it'll give you the coordinates. Just verify they're correct. Accept it. Now we're going directly to the next VOR, which is HEC, option number 3. Insert. And now we're going to go to the Edwards VOR, it's the same thing, list EDW, option number 2. Enter. And now we're going to enter in our runway. So to do so, let's go to the menu, arrivals, and type in the arrival airport, Edwards Air Force Base, AEDW. Enter. Accept it. And the runway is 23 left, which is option number 6. So press 6, enter that in. If there was any stars, you would enter that in as well. Gonna give that a miss. Go to the flight plan, verify everything. So, yep, looks all good. Direct to Edwards, and we've got a no link over here. So I'm just gonna delete that, okay? Delete. Because by then, the Edwards is a VOR. So, okay, so by then, I'm going to switch back to VOR navigation, and we're going to do it that way. Right, so that is pretty much it, you know? There is a lot of other options you can play with as well, such as VNav, but this is an introductory kind of tutorial, and I hope this helps you get familiar with the FMC. Right. Let's set our altitude reminder to something useful, let's say 10,000 feet, like so. And now let's select our mode selectors to the GPS on both sides. And coming over here to the glare shield, let's set VOR lock, the flight director, okay? If you want to utilize your FMC, you need to select a VOR lock, okay? On other aircraft, you may be familiar with the term AUXNAV, auxiliary navigation, but not on this aircraft. Okay, so I think we're ready actually, just a few more tests. Come over here, we did our fire test. I should have done my squib test as well. And our cargo test. And similarly, we can do our TCAS test, but on some aircraft, it's an option if you want to have that TCAS or not. And the ATIS, we don't actually have an ATIS today, so I just checked on Google before doing the live stream, and the barometric QNH is 2983. There we go. Did you see the instrument comparator? It's showing altitude disagree. So I've got to do it on the other side as well. 2983. There we go. So that is it. And yeah, so let's briefly check our trim as well. I want to check my flight controls are working. There we go. Trim is in motion, and the stabilizer light should illuminate like so. And yeah, flaps are up. Yep, the last time I loaded it, the flaps are down somehow. Anyway, so that's it really. I'm gonna get the engine started. Let's do that right away. So let's go to plugins. Better pushback. Let's pre-plan this pushback. Let's see how it works. So our runway is down here, 21 right. So do I even need a pushback? Actually, no, I don't even need a pushback. I'll just start the engines and just start traveling forwards. Yeah. So what do you say? Okay. Before engines start, we need to do a couple of things. So let's get the boost pumps on that have fuel. If the center boost pumps didn't have fuel, you'd see the low pressure lights on. Let's get the anti-collision lights on, like so. The fasten seatbelt signs. Let's get that on as well. Electrically driven hydraulics. Let's fire them up. Packs, I'm going to turn off. APU bleed is on, pressure is indicating. And yeah, let's get the engine started. Ground start. Engine number 2. There we go. 20%. Fuel on. 17%, by the way, according to the manual, is the minimum. With obviously N1 rotation. Okay, starter cutout. Start sequence is really fast. So now we're going to start engine number 1. Fuel on. There we go. Okay, fuel on. Start cutout. Let's bring the gens online one by one. APU gen is off. Okay, let's get the static heats on. Hydraulics is online. Fuel is online as well. APU bleed off. Pressurization mode selected to flight. Let's get the packs on. Although before takeoff, I think I'm going to do packs off today. And APU master set to off. Let's get the taxi lights on as well. And let's get moving. Everything looks good. Just checking Gen 1, Gen 2. Yeah. So parking brakes release. And let's get moving. Also, let's do our takeoff config as well. So V cards flaps 2 today. Actually, let's do flaps 5. So I'm going to set my flaps down. Flaps 5. And stab trim 5.02. And normal EPR 2.18. Let's set the bugs. And we've got a V1 of 132. Which is this bug, a rotate to 133, a V2 of 139, and yeah, takeoff briefing is complete. Let's get taxiing. This is a really strange plane, yeah. Especially when the more you look at it, the more you realize it's strange. Okay, so on the move, and let me slow down a bit. Taxiing is getting too fast. So if anyone has any questions, do feel free to answer in the chat. We're all here to learn at the end of the day. Okay, so right now we're going to be entering onto the runway 21 right. So let's get the landing lights on, runway turn-off lights on, the strobe light on as well. Sorry, I put the wing light on. The strobe light is this one. And let's get our ignition to low powered ignition, continuous. So as you know, or you may not know actually, on the Boeing 737 Classic, we have two ignition systems. The low powered one, which is 4 joules, and the high powered ignition, which we use for ground start, which is 20 joules. And the low powered ignition is located in burner can number 7. Right, so just turning onto the runway now. And let's just briefly stop here and do a final run through, okay? I'm just going to sync my heading, the runway heading, just for good measure. Okay, so let's have a takeoff briefing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off, rotate in the normal way. And actually, due to this large radome at the back, I'm going to take extra care not to tail scrape. And similarly, positive rate, we're going to go gear up. And let's say about 1,000 feet AGL, I'm going to set climb thrust about 80 to 90%. And we'll do acceleration. Okay. Ready. Spooling up. Takeoff thrust is set.
Knots.
80 knots, cross check. V1, rotate. There we go. Positive rate, gear up. Now I'm just going to follow the flight director and maintain about V2 plus 10. Okay, 1,000 feet AGL. Let's throttle back to about 80%. Let's say 85%. And let's start to accelerate. So I'm going to nose down. Let's get the landing lights retracted, boost our performance. Start retracting the flaps. Just gonna wait for the last speed bug before I retract the final notch of flaps. Okay, flaps up. Okay, let's go off continuous ignition. Let's get the packs. Sorry, the pack's already on. Isolation valve should be set to auto. Let's get the autopilot engaged. I'm going to engage the aileron channel, the elevator channel, like so. And don't ever mistake this to be autopilot 1 and autopilot 2. These are there's only one autopilot that takes commands on the captain's side, even for VOR navigation. And if you want both pitch control and lateral control, you need both channels engaged. Okay, let's go to navlock. Tell the autopilot to follow the FMC, and similarly let us pitch down slightly for a speed of 250 knots. Okay, landing gears up, lights off, neutral. Transponder as well should be set to TARA. Flaps are up. Pretty much it. Now let's enjoy the view. Okay, approaching 250 knots. I'm gonna go IS hold. Actually, we've already reached 10,000 feet, so altitude hold took over. Let's pitch for about 300 knots now. And let's follow that. And let's set our altitude alert to about 20,000 feet. There we go. You can see our progress on the map display. Okay, 300 knots. Let's go IS hold. Just gonna adjust my graphics slightly. Let's get the everything to a medium level. So now it's just smooth sailing, really. So let's do a bit of time travel. So a couple of facts about this aircraft. A very strange one, firstly. It's based on the NT-43 trainer, which was an aircraft of the 70s, which was based on the 737-200. And yeah, they were retired around the year 2010, but since then, one has resurfaced with this very strange nose, okay? And apparently, the reason for this is they're trying to do some kind of stealth observation or trying to do some monitoring of some sort. And at 18,000 feet, our transition altitude, I'm just going to select our QNH back to standard. You can see the progress over here with the Universal FMC. We're going to the HEC VOR and about, let's see, 73 nautical miles away from there. Okay, 18,000 feet. Let's go standard. On both sides, you can see the instrument comparator. Okay, altitude alert, 1,000 feet to go. Okay, I'm just going to pull back on the throttles. Nice and easy. We've leveled off now. Okay, so while we're just cruising along and we've got some time, let me explain to you a couple of things about the 737 Classic. Okay, so we've got let's discuss about the crossfeed. The crossfeed is DC powered, by the way. The engine generators, this is, you cannot run them in parallel, by the way. The moment you close a gen breaker, you open its respective bus type breaker. So you can't run any gens in parallel. You have the bus transfer, okay? Just something I thought you might find interesting for brand new 737 pilots. CSD disconnects, we don't touch those. High temperature, if any of these lights come on, which in maintenance mode of this add-on does happen, you can just repair them, okay? And electrics, you might notice TR3 and might be wondering what that is, because on the 737 NG series you don't see that. TR3 is just another way for saying the battery charger. Okay? And coming over here to the hydraulics. Hydraulics is 2 electric driven on the right hand side and 2 engine driven with the interconnect valve, which is normally closed. Okay, check your pressurization, cabin altitude and differential pressure. If at any point differential pressure rises within the yellow top range and red range, you don't have to sweat about it. Don't let it overpressurize you. All you need to do is just increase your flight altitude, okay? Pneumatics is quite self-explanatory. 2 engine bleeds, 2 packs, isolation valve, which is set to auto, normally closed for isolation. And if you want to start engine number 2 first on the ground, you need to have the isolation valve open. As you can see, the engine APU bleed supplies the left hand side, not the right hand side. You can also dial down the temperatures if you wanted to. Notice the ram air doors have closed now. Okay, we approach the next VOR. We're going to turn now to our final VOR, which is the Edwards VOR 116.40. So, for good measure, let's just put that in. 116.40. And also, while we're at it, let me see what our ILS is. Okay, so ILS today, ILS 23, left 110.10, and localize a heading of 227. Let's get some lights on. It's dark in here. Okay, so let's start our descent now. So basically, with these no VNAV assisted aircraft, we're going to use some simple calculations. So our altitude loss, let's say we want to descend down to 5,000 feet. So our altitude loss would be 15,000 feet. So you would typically divide that by 1,015 and triple that. So 15 threes are 45. So let's ease back on the throttles and let's command a nose down, and vertical speed approximately half of the ground speed. So let's go nice steady 1500 feet per minute. Master caution, off schedule descent. Okay, so just gonna reset that. Nicely descending along. I think we've taken quite a lot of fuel on board for this really short flight, but better to be safe than sorry. And add in a notch of spoilers to help us. Okay, we're below the transition altitude. Let me just see what our ATIS is for Edwards Air Force Base. ATIS frequency is 127.425. So let's do that.
Information Juliet, 1540 Zulu. Arrive runway 23 right, 23 left, 25. Departing runway 23 right, 23 left, 25. Wind calm. Visibility 410 miles. Sky conditions view at 2,700. Temperature 10, 2.2. Altimeter 2, negative 2. Advise on initial contact. You have information Juliet.
Edwards AFB Rogers driving. Information Juliet, 1540 Zulu. Arrive runways 23 right, 23 left, 25. Departing runways 23 right, 23 left, 25. Wind calm. Visibility 410 miles. Sky conditions view at 2,000.
Altitude hold.
Temperature 10, 2.2. Altimeter 2992.
The altimeter 2992. Okay, I'm just going to level off here at 10,000 feet and slow down to 250 knots. Okay, we're below 10,000 feet. Let's get the landing lights extended. The landing lights on this aircraft are extendable, by the way. So they do add a bit of drag, which can be helpful in some situations. Similarly on the MD-80 as well. So if anyone wants to download this mod, just don't worry, I'll put a link to it in the comments once I'm done with the live stream. It's quite difficult to find, actually. You know, I came across it because I saw it before a long time ago, but didn't quite know where it was, so I had to look for it. Tell you what, let's go flaps 5. Let's continue slowing down, nice and easy. Also, let's do our landing performance. Okay, so let's land at flaps 30 today. So flaps 30 and a Vref of 132 knots. But let's add in a bit more because we've got this radome and I don't want to tail scrape. Okay. Let's actually get the gear down and get some more drag. Okay, let's tune in our data. 110.10. .10. And 227. So let's go back to navigation. There we go. And we'll start to make our turn shortly to intercept it.
Glide slow.
Okay, speed brakes are armed. Let's go flaps full. Inside flaps 30. Let's bring the thrust back. Let's set the first officer side as well. Okay, let's make the turn. Autopilot, let's disconnect that now. Let's get some auto brakes out as well. The nose definitely makes things a bit difficult to watch. Certainly blocks your way. There you go, runway's in sight. We're a bit low on the glide slope, that's okay. Let's set the flight director to view or lock. Gonna trim ourselves out. Let's see actually if the autopilot can do for us a glide slope capture. I'm quite curious. We were above the glide slope, so I'm just going to go manual GS. Going to ease back on the throttles a bit. Also remain in continuous ignition. And I'm going to do the flare at 30 feet. 300.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Okay, we're down. Let's go reverse thrust.
Attention all aircraft. Edwards AFC Rogers Charlie. Information EF current.
Look at those thrust reverser buckets. Very impressive. Okay, we're down on the ground. Let's reverse us out. Get the runway turn off lights on, taxi lights on. Continuous ignition, I'm gonna turn that off for the time being. Get the strobe off as well. And let's see, where should we park today? Okay, let's turn off over here and we'll find a place, suitable place to stop. The nose wheel steering a bit strong. Okay, landing lights retracted. Okay, the probe heat's off as well. Let's go flaps up. Disarm the auto brakes. Let's go TCAS. Back to standby. I think I see a KC-10 in the distance over there. Really nice. Hope to be flying one of those soon. Okay, we've got some data actually over here. The FMC is quite clever that way. Time takeoff 15:41 and 16:16 landing, so in the air for 34 minutes. Quite a short live stream. And fuel on board and fuel used. I'm really impressed by this FMC, seriously. It's impressive. And you wouldn't even think it's quite modern in that sense, you know, because it reminds me of my old Nokia phone, you know, the Nokia 91120 or the HP Palm Top PC. Quite cool those were. Yeah, and there's the KC-10 extender. Very nice. And there's another one over here. Not very well modeled, but decent enough to know it's a KC-10. Okay, and let's turn over here. Slow down a bit. And let's turn and do a complete shutdown over here. And then I have one more thing I want to show you actually. Quite an interesting feature I want to show you aboard the 737 Classic. You may notice that this US Air Force looks a little bit pixelated today. That is, it's not always the case. Right up to the live stream, actually, I was doing quite okay. So I'm not too sure what happened there. Okay, let's get parking brakes on. Let's do a quick shutdown. We already shut down a few things. Get the window heats off. Thing up here is okay. Let's get the yaw damper off. Boost pumps as well. Let's turn them all off. And yeah, galley power. Let's turn that off. Let's get the runway turn off lights, taxis, anti-collisions off as well. Pressurization mode select, I put that back to the ground section. Let's get backs off. And let's just do a complete engine shutdown. Flaps are up, I already did that. Emergency lights. Set them off. And there we go, we've pretty much shut down now. And one last thing I want to show you is the air stairs, okay? That's an interesting feature, which can be done on battery. Okay, forgive all this, you know, all this blurriness. I don't know why this is happening today. It was fine all these other days. So let's get the door open. And to the right, I think. The top right, yes, there's some air stairs controlled, so let's bring the air stairs out. It's quite a cool feature actually. You only need battery power for that to work. Let's try it again. There we go, air stairs are opening. Nice. It's a really cool feature. I mean, that's one of the things I like about the 737, the air stairs, and especially the classic series, the low bypass JT8D turbofans and the analog 60s cockpit. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this eventful flight today. I wanted to share with you what I learned about the NT-43 from the manuals. And yeah, we do this a lot on the channel. We don't just fly aircraft, but we master them. We learn the system, so we're not just doing things, but we're also explaining why we're doing things. You know, true system understanding. So do subscribe to the channel and check out what else I've done. Trending now is the 707. I've done that in complete depth using the actual AOMs. So I hope to see you there. And do join me next week for another eventful live stream. And the link to this specific mod will be put in the chat. Don't worry. Okay then, see you then and have a great weekend everyone.